Yes. She's starting her own podcast, which is what this party was for. No, she's starting her own podcast, which I feel I've already spoken about this, I think, in like one of my solo shows last week. I feel the same about her solo podcast with her best friend as I do about Rachel Levis's. Like, there has to be a plan. We can't just talk about Jen Shaw and all that forever. Like, we have to move forward. Am I talking nonstop about being on Millionaire Matchmaker season 4, episode Brooklyn versus Botox and Patty Stanger? Is that what I talk about 24/7? No, no. When this podcast when you all cancel me in 10 years, 20 years, and kick me to the curb, and I'm in the old age home, loving my life, am I going to talk about my heyday on Behind the Velvet Rope? No. I really am one that like I like to evolve and move on in life. So I'm not criticizing her. I just there has to be something on this new podcast. We can't just talk about last season of Salt Lake, but I don't know. Do I believe her? Why do you ask such hard? I have so many people that fucking hate
Yeah, but
me.
come on, give me an answer. You don't believe her or you do?
No, I don't.
Okay, come on.
I just
People come to
don't.
you for your legitimacy.
I
Okay.
just don't. The same way people, Phage Van Kenya. Kenya ain't coming out of a fucking cake. The last episode of fucking RHOA this season. No. It's just, what is it? When have
I
we
agree.
ever had a surprise visitor walk in? What, we're going to have Bethany walk in this next season of New York and say, I'm back, bitches. That's not how, this is not Dallas. It's not Melrose Place. We're not ending on a cliffhanger. Who shot JR? We're not going to know until next season. What? She's going to walk into the party and say, I'm back. No.
No, this tends to if I think for me, just for me, this is Von Teese's last straw of credibility for me. Okay.
Ooh.
So if somebody comes out and confirms her story that this is true, like, whatever, I don't know who would do that because production usually doesn't talk. That's kind of why this is a convenient lie, right? Because who's going to like back this up? Maybe Andy. Andy's good about giving some insight. But to me, if this turns out to kind of be a lie, I think that tells you why you're not seeing more Vontis on RHO on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And it's probably because she behind the scenes has a real credibility liar. Because that's what people allege, right? Even though I think people know Lisa Barlow and Heather Gay really have it out for her. And you could make an argument she's come for them and yada yada. But there's this kind of undercurrent that Von Teese is like a huge pathological liar, and there's a lot there. And so it's to me, if this turns out to like not be true, then that says to me, because production, to your point, will do anything for ratings. They don't care. They don't care. If it meant getting rid of Heather Gay and Lisa, they'd be gone. Like nobody, I just don't think
Correct.
Heather Gay and Lisa have any pull. Do I think that they're bitching all the time? Sure. Saying to production, I'm going to quit. I'm going to do this. And I think production's going, okay, but Von Teese is like such a pathological liar. Like it's not worth, because if they thought Von Teese was reliable and like could do it, those women would be gone in a heartbeat. They would care less. Don't you think? That's the name of the game.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game, and I don't think she'll be back for the final episode. It would be next season. Our ratings sucked, and
Yeah.
season 4 was at everything. I mean, that's a more likely scenario of like we're bringing back Von Teese. We had a chat with her. Like if they save Teresa's ass, Giudice, they're gonna have a talk with her. You want to call the same scumbag podcast and pay them? You want to call the same bloggers? One false move, girl, and you're fired. So they will have a stern talking with Miss Giudice. She might be changing up some inner people in her camp, I've heard. So I think if they have a horrible season 5, they could go to Von Tesse and say, hey, girl, we sucked without you. And we sucked the season before you, but you better clean it up and stop your lies because we need like the real deal. Be off center, but like you got to be honest. And yeah, then they could tell Heather Gay to go scratch if she don't like it. And Heather Gay and Lisa Barlow are not walking out of Housewives. But yeah, and this is no shade. I love you, Von Teese. I love all the Von Teeses. I'm thrilled to have had Dita on our podcast. But I don't believe this one. I just don't, like you said, I can't start being those other podcasts that just have a milk bottle in my fucking
I
mouth.
don't see many people thinking that this is the truth. And like I'm saying, I'm just from the little producing that I have done in interviewing a lot of potential people for shows, there there are some people that you come across that are so perfect, but mentally they're so off. You know what I mean? There's something so wrong that you're just like, we can't, like, we just can't move forward with this person. And I don't know, Von Teese is starting to give me those vibes, and that's all I'm saying. But we should move on because we have like, I want to do rapid fire with you. We have so many stories to get to.
You got a
Um,
lot of like, yeah.
Well, let's go to RHOC. What's your thoughts on a million things here? You know, Emily Simpson doing a big interview saying Shannon Beador is 100% winning, that Alexis and John kind of look like clowns. Simpson's also saying, I think the story of John just paying her to stay off the show is fake. Alexis has come out and said why she turned that down. Even more, there's been even more quotes, and she's basically saying, and Alexis is even giving an update on Jim Bellino.
What does
So
she say?
she says that one of the big reasons for turning down John's offer is because when she was married to Jim, Jim paid for everything. She never had any of her own money and therefore no control. But interestingly enough, she says she and Jim are good friends. And Jim watched the premiere of RHOC and called her right up and said, "You're killing it." So I guess they're close.
I mean, look, it's her father's children. I believe that they are good. I actually believe it. Yeah. I mean, Alexis isn't really a nasty, bitter person. She's sometimes misguided, but I don't think she's, so I believe it. And look, the counselor Simpson has some points of she thinks that if he conveniently waited for all this for when they were filming. And look, I agree with Emily on this one. I just feel that John wants to be there. I just feel he wants to be there. Is he a Louis Realias in his underhandedness and dirty John-ish? No. No one compares to Louis, but I feel that John likes the cameras, and I believe Emily when she says like he conveniently waited till we were filming to bring up this lawsuit and to sue. And yeah, I believe it. And I
Um,
do think Shannon is probably winning. I mean, look, the public is on her side. Alexis has a Archie knockoff now. She bought a golden retriever. The fans are very upset that Mr. Archie Beador is getting some competition. They are a huge supporters of Archie Beador, and they do not like Miss Bellino's a knockoff Archie. All Goldens are not created equal.
Beador.
And Beador. And what
Look,
else?
Shannon is winning. And isn't it interesting? Because I mean, I'm loving RHOC this season. I
Excellent.
truly came into that show and I thought to myself, really with some judgments about Shannon, which I have shared. And, with this DUI and how awful I thought that was, especially at, being a more mature woman, like, come on, we ought to have a lot of our ish together at, getting older. And when you got kids and all these things, I was really critical. And man,